Hey fellas! Some time has passed since my previous video about 59 Les Paul, and you guys overloaded me with comments, wishes, likes and ideas for further videos. Thank you so much, it helps me a lot. This topic appeared to be so wide, so I decided to make short but informative series about all guitar parts. Les Paul will take most attention for sure, but lots of facts will also cover other guitars. And as always, this video is in two languages, так что если хотите посмотреть это видео на русском, кликайте здесь. And today's topic will be about guitar wood. So, let's go! Topic about guitar wood is very delicate. It is discussed on forums and on YouTube a lot. Many guitar players do believe that the wood does not affect the sound at all. For me, it's like a flat earth theory, and I decided to understand why it is so. Well, here are the results that I finished with. In my opinion, there are three categories of guitar players that think different about this topic. Nowadays, the first category is the biggest one. Fashion and modern styles of music dictate their rules. These musicians usually play heavy styles of music and mostly use distortion and high gain. Guitar wood is not so important for distorted and compressed sound. But you cannot say this about the pickup's output voltage and certain mid-range frequencies. That's why these players prefer active pickups or passive ones with high output, just to get rid of noise in distorted sound. With high distortion and compression, you will not hear the voice of the wood. Even sustained feeling is blurred with compression. As a rule, these musicians play clean sound rarely, and if they do, the sound is not as pleasant as it can be. You can hear it at Metallica recordings, where a clean sound was recorded with active pickups. But in this context, such sound is taken for granted and even cannot be noticed. Most modern guitar players are young and play such styles. They buy mostly cheap instruments to start with and don't even think about the guitar voice. Under high distortion and compression, you'll never hear it. And even expensive guitars such as Jackson Soloist have lots of unknown wood pieces. I've been refinishing one of such instruments and was astonished with this fact. Thickness of varnish in some places on the body was 3 mm, and the body was made of rubbish. And it was an American-made instrument. But at the same time, it was equipped with active pickups, and being plugged to Mesa, it sounded... The second category of musicians is mostly represented by professionals who play light styles of music, I mean classic rock, jazz, blues and similar styles. The voice of the wood is important for them, because they hear it. Collectors are supposed to belong to this category as well. This group of people has enough experience of playing various instruments and they know what they are talking about. They clearly understand the importance of guitar wood and the impact it provides, as well as other parts do. Though collector-grade instruments don't usually have high-quality sound, surprisingly, those vintage guitars force modern ones to go to rest in case. And the third category, that I suppose to be the smallest one, consists of people who just cannot hear the difference. Don't confuse these people with the beginners. As they grow, they can feel and hear. Either they quit playing guitar, or they master in playing and become professionals or experts in this topic. And this will help them to get the instrument they need. Practice makes perfect. But let's dive back in the guitar wood. There is lots of information on the internet about the wood influence on the guitar and why it is so. Let's look at it more thoroughly. Let's start with ash. Ash is heavy, solid, and dense wood with pronounced grain. Heavy ash is common for Europe. However, swamp ash in America has less thickness in its structure and is more lightweight. Due to favorable environment and high humidity, trees grow fast, and annual rings are big and less thick, so such boards appear to be lighter. Such ash sounds and resonates perfectly, especially in Telecasters, that are known now as a standard of high-frequency, ashy sound for country music. But it's hard enough to make heavy European ash resonate, so you see another picture on the wall. Nowadays, ash guitars are used a lot to play heavy music, due to the bright attack that emphasizes distortion playing with palm mute. It adds clear articulation of notes and phrases. Alder is traditionally used for Stratocaster body. Both alder and ash belong to light and cheap wood. It's soft enough and the grain lies even, and it's easy to stock, to dry and to work on. Frequency characteristics have no outstanding or ahead of the curve features, so-called middling in every aspect, but with bolt-on neck and strings running through floating tremolo. Alder smooths steel attack and catches resonance in time. American alder differs from European one in weight dispersion. This wood is brighter than European one, and there's a bit of silicon in its structure, simply sand that the tree pulls from the ground. This sand blunts cutting tools extremely fast while woodworking, faster than while working with oak. Mahogany wood has lots of sorts, and it's been valued for ages. It has beautiful and solid structure that does not rot. This wood is very stable. It doesn't curl up like birch or maple. Honduran and African mahogany are considered as reference woods. They are close to each other by physical and frequency characteristics, but differ in structure. African mahogany wood is darker and has multi-directional grain structure. It can be either very solid and heavy or very light. Honduran mahogany has more steady and even structure and less density dispersion. But nowadays, light Honduran mahogany is hard to find. That's why if I need to choose between traditional and heavy Honduran wood or lightweight African one, I'd prefer African wood. By the way, necks of vintage Les Pauls from the 50s were mostly made of African mahogany, as multidirectional grain structure is more solid, and we all know how often Les Paul necks are being broken. Maple is considered to be the most musical wood. Both brass and strings instruments were traditionally made of this wood. It transfers vibrations greatly, its structure is hard and smooth, and sometimes it shows a phenomenal 3D effect of the wave. Maple is fine in conjunction with soft wood, like mahogany. Solid maple body is used rarely, because the wood is very dense. That's why maple neck and mahogany or alder body do magic. Conifers are highly valued in making acoustic instruments. Upper decks of violins and acoustic guitars are still being traditionally made of spruce. Well-chosen spruce has a very smooth and long-grained structure. It contains a lot of tars that provide viscosity and hardness without adding weight. Spruce is similar to pine in its properties. Even early Telecasters were made of pine. But this wood is very hard to stock and dry. When drying, it shrinks a lot and cracks. Knots and tar lengths cause the wood to be rejected in 80%. That's why building a guitar from a good pine is like playing a shell game. But if you close your eyes to some decorative defects, you'll notice that pine guitars are magical. I've already made several instruments of pine and all of them sound awesome. I made my first pine guitar using old house floor boards, just as an experiment. Those boards were approximately 40 years old. Now it's one of my favorite guitars, which travels with me around the globe. Later on, I made a Telecaster body using 150 years old board from an old American barn. I used roasted maple for the neck. You know, when all wood sugars and tars are hardened under high temperature. Last year I bought a 140 years old house in the village just to dismantle it for guitar wood. We'll see if it works. Any wood species can conduct and highlight frequencies and can resonate its own way. A lot depends on fibers, uniformity, density, weight and cut. Since ancient times, the wood was harvested in a special way to build string instruments. Loggers were making boards with special saw cut and from certain parts of the log. Those boards were prepared in a special way. Board ends were covered with lime and then with moss. Lime and moss could prevent putrefaction and fast drying. Herewith, the board could breathe and was drying evenly. Such boards were lying for years in dry storages without light. But this method is very long and quite dangerous. Sharp drops of temperature or humidity in the environment can screw up a blank wood. Small cracks appear on the surface, so you need to fix it. That's why these days wood comes to the factories after industrial drying. There are people who dislike it and believe that oven drying ruins the wood, but it's not true. Oven drying allows to remove humidity without damaging the wood. After that, blanks dry at the storages with controlled humidity so that the wood dries slowly and does not crack. This method is the most stable. In any way, good guitar blanks need to rest for 5 to 7 years before being transformed into guitars. The wood needs to become stable to temperature and humidity drops. It will not expand or shrink after that and will behave predictably. Drop cycles affect this process. I mean, there need to be several drop cycles of expansion and shrinkage. Cryo-tuning also helps with this. When a blank is being freezed and then defrosted several times, this process changes the structure of tars and substances in the wood. Some substances split, some change to another form. By the way, cryo-tuning works well with metallic parts too, as well as heating up to a certain temperature. Each metal or alloy has its own cycle. It starts to conduct vibrations evenly and clear. Nowadays, roasted wood became very popular. I've already made a neck for Telecaster with this wood. Boards are baked with not very high temperature for several hours. Such a process makes tars and sugars in the wood hard enough. The wood becomes hard, stable, and looks like a caramel. A neck made of such wood will not be twisted, but if the blank is too dense, it may not sound. This way, baking spoils the blank and it conducts vibrations badly. I made just one guitar of roasted maple and succeeded. The neck I got was nice. Radial cut blanks were traditionally used by luthiers to build decks for acoustic instruments. It's when grain lies perpendicular to the level. Thin decks become more springy and get clear resonance distribution away from the bridge. The surface of radial cut wood shows that awesome 3D effect of grain structure. Luthiers like it for its decorative properties. But this effect is neutralized in solid body guitars with big weight. The wood works like a spring. If the impulse comes to the ends of annual rings, it is extinguished by the tough structure of rings. When an impulse of resonance comes at right angle to grain lines, the wood works like a kind of spring and catches this impulse easily. A guitar made of tangential cut blank is easier to play. It resonates better and feels awesome, as if it knows what you're going to play. My main rule while picking up wood blanks is maximum tangent. It always works. There are some cases where the guitar looks awesome, top is wavy and with deep 3D effect, but in a week, new strings lose their voice. The sixth string has no bright attack and is like cotton. This is a problem of radial cut of the top. It extinguishes the attack. The guitar with picked up and sounding wood can be easily played without restringing for half a year. I owned a Telecaster like this. I changed strings once a year just because it was time to do it. I even sold it with old strings. Now I regret it, just a bit. Everything is passing by. Les Paul consists of 4 main wooden parts: body, top that is cut from one board, one-piece neck and fretboard. So, picking up these parts for the guitar is of high importance. I worked out my personal principle of tone interval matching. It means that each cut-to-shape blank is picked up to each other. Fretboard to neck, top to body, and then the whole neck to the whole body. All these parts have to sound at multiple intervals. Otherwise, tonal incompatibility will pour out into sharply decaying sustain on several or all notes, even if some wooden parts sounded good. Such picking up is quite hard and requires lots of cut-to-shape blanks, ability to hear harmonics clearly, and of course, experience. In bulk with good wood and proper cut, it shows astonishing results. This topic deserves a separate video, but I decided to put it here as it's related to wood. And wood is the main source of the guitar voice. Wood is the body of the voice. There's lots of controversy around this topic, but we've already figured it out in the beginning of this video. As I told you in my previous video, well-played vintage guitars sound better than new ones. But how can we get such an effect from a new guitar? Do we need to wait for ages or spend thousands of bucks for an original vintage guitar? Several years ago, I got an idea to make a machine that modulates particular vibrations and affects the guitar when I don't play it. I'm not good at electronics, so I kept it on the back burner. And occasionally, I found this device a couple of years ago. There's not only me thinking about it, so someone really made it. This theory appeared to work and lots of musicians confirm it. I bought this device immediately. At first I wanted to test my theory, and you know what? It works. This device hangs on the strings and makes vibrations, and the system resonates permanently. The longer it works, the better the instrument sounds. My newborn guitars are always played with this device to be filled with resonance. And it's not an advertisement, it's a thing that works and which I use permanently. Well, my speech again appeared to be long, but the topic is wide enough. Next time, I'll try to be a bit shorter and I will tell you about replicas and relics. Why people spend lots of money to collect such guitars. Interesting stuff. So subscribe, like and comment everything related and share your ideas for further videos. Thanks for watching and
rock and roll for all.